Got him, didn't you? You got him.
All right, we'll call it to order, call the meeting to order. First, number 2 on here is awards presentations or appointments, mayor's appointment, Mount Pleasant Industrial Development Board. We are going, if you will see as we get down to I in the new business, delegating authority of the Mount Pleasant IDB for issuing the letter of credit. We'll discuss it at more length then, but we need to have a very short meeting. Corey and Philip have looked over this, and I'm just going to go ahead and explain what we're going to do. We're going to put currently the Murray County Industrial, or the Mount Pleasant Industrial Development Board is in Park. We now use the Murray County Industrial Development Board for everything, and I'm vice chairman of that committee as well. So what we did, because of the fact we were just everybody was doing the same thing twice. So we just said, all right, we'll do this, but now we're going to have an opportunity for gas situation to have this, and Corey and Philip realized that we need, appears one more member. I spoke with John Hatcher. John's on the planning and the zoning, correct? John Hatcher.
No, man.
He just don't plan. John Hunter, I'm sorry.
Oh.
He's just don't plan.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to make a nomination and an appointment that we add John Hunter to that development board for one meeting. So we'll pass that Tuesday night.
Okay.
Completion and review of unfinished business from prior meeting. Anything, Philip?
No, sir.
Monthly report from Mayor. I'm sure I'll have a little something to talk about. We got a lot going on around here right now, folks. A lot of really good things. Monthly financial budget, Shipra? Cool. Great. Monthly report from city manager, Philip.
I'll start on it Tuesday.
All right.
Like this meeting.
Special reports from other departments, wastewater.
So, Mayor and Commissioners, this may make my job a little easier Tuesday. Matthew's here.
Great.
I don't know if you want to do it now or wait till we get to some of his things on here. It's totally up to you.
What do you want to do, Matthew? It's up to you and Philip. You tell me,
Come on,
guys.
Matthew.
Come on, Matthew.
Where do you want me to start, Philip? With the bids from earlier?
Well, no, let's wait till we get there. Let's just talk a
Okay.
little about the wastewater treatment plant and where we're at.
Okay,
That's nothing.
sure, yeah. So I think it's been a couple of months since the last time I was here and give you all an update. So the wastewater treatment plant project that's been going on for quite some time, we're getting near the end. I probably said that here before, but we are getting near the end. We reached substantial completion. I think, Mayor, you just signed the form just a little while ago. So that was a big milestone that we've been kind of waiting. And basically what that means is the plant is operational. The city staff they're now operating it. And so there's basically just punch list items like miscellaneous cleanup left to complete. So my understanding is the contractor's got a few more days of work on site left, and then they will be done on site. Now, there's still some paperwork that needs to be sent in, some operation and maintenance manuals and so on. That's probably going to lag a little bit, but we are getting near the end, at least with the on-site work, and then hopefully the paperwork will come in shortly thereafter.
Good. That's great news.
It is great
Yeah.
news.
And we would like to, I've mentioned this to Philip before, and I think we haven't set any dates yet, but would like to set up at some point a visit for whoever wants to tour the new plant. Hopefully after some of the cleanup I mentioned is over, but just so y'all can see what the town just invested a lot of money in.
A lot. Anything else, Philip? Matthew?
We'll bring him back up in a few minutes. when we
Yeah.
get to the-
We'll get back down to it. in a minute.
Matthew, appreciate everything that has been done out there, but
Yes, sir.
when we do get to go and see it, I want to see Mr. Dale Brown with his little cup.
Almost.
Okay.
I'll let him drink it.
I'll let him drink it. I love it. All right. Mount Pleasant Gas?
I'll just add to what you were talking about earlier. Issuing that letter of credit will be a savings from Unigas. 130-something thousand a year.
Yeah.
They'll help with these rates and go back into that. So it's pretty important that we do that.
Yes. All right. New business ordinance 2025-1135, and this will be the first reading. An ordinance for R3 zoning request related to Trotwood annexation. Corey?
So the purpose of this ordinance is to adopt zoning for the properties that are proposed for annexation. The zoning is R3, high-density residential. This is the only zoning that can be considered by this ordinance at this time. If you want to adopt R3 zoning for the properties if annexed, you should vote in favor of this ordinance. If you do not want to adopt R3 zoning for the properties if annexed, you should vote against this ordinance. It is very important that you consider the factors set forth in section 4.7 of your zoning ordinance, your orange card. It's also printed off again for you today. When you're making this decision, it's equally important that you deliberate on those factors and state your reasons for any decision you make. As required when the zoning map is amended, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on this proposed zoning, and the Planning Commission did not recommend R3. The Planning Commission's resolution, along with their findings of fact worksheets, are included in your packet, or will be included in your packet. And I believe Schiffer sent out the links to both R3 zoning and
Printouts are
4.7 today.
too for the zoning work review. The links, PDFs are in your emails and there, and also on the
All righty. I'm sorry, I was asking guys back here if they had anybody to sign up to speak on this, because I was going to move the general comments from citizens up to where this is over, but we have a representative. Jack, would y'all like to get up and speak for a moment?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, board. I appreciate it. I haven't spoken in front of this board yet, so it's great to see everybody. I'll just, Rob is here with SEC, who knows the technicals much better than I, but just real quick, wanted to introduce myself, Jack Mayer, for those I haven't met. Thankfully, I've met most of you guys. I just wanted to say we're excited about this. I know it's got its challenges, and we'll talk about those, but we're excited about being in Mount Pleasant. It's been several years in the making for us to get to tonight, and so it's a big deal that we're here. We've been it's family business. We've been in Spring Hill for a very long time. My dad started building in '85. We've been in Spring Hill since 1990. So this Middle Tennessee area is home to us. Our goal is always to have it be better when we walk away than before. And so we're looking forward to not just this project, but hopefully being a part of the community for a very long time going forward. And so just wanted to share that. I'm happy to answer any questions. Rob can answer technical questions that I may not know, but we're here. Yep.
Jack, is there any reason that you don't want, I guess, the sewer system taking care of the problem, you know? Or is it, I guess, money? Does it cost more money to do run sewer line?
Run sewer.
Or is it cheaper to go the route you're wanting to go?
Sure. We've just done some preliminary math on the sewer line because that was asked about or talked about last meeting. It is a considerable amount of money. I mean, rough figures were north of $2.5 million, and so it presents a cost constraint for sure.
So how much is the way y'all want to go with it?
I don't know that we have a bid on that yet for the system. So you're looking at potentially an additional $1 million, and it's we did talk with the city about easements and those sort of things, and there's some easements in place. I understand about half miles worth. There's a lot of easements that are not in place, and we've talked to a lot of people who've done large sewer extensions as well, and sometimes they go great. Sometimes you hit rock or things, and your costs can quickly rise there, as well as I think it's estimated there's 2 or 3 pump stations needed along the way, and so those are additional expense and additional maintenance opportunities down the line. So our just to back up, we started this process 2 years ago. I know you guys are just getting your sewer online. At the time that we started this, it was an unknown out there in the future. So our perspective was to handle it ourselves and do what we could to help the city. And we're super sensitive to this. We do a lot of building in Spring Hill. I'm sure everybody's seen that they've got a moratorium going on right now, and now they're exploring step systems. And so what we think it's a win-win in the fact that you guys are able to get the tax revenue for the houses, but you don't have to treat it. The water comes from Columbia, so you guys don't have to handle water. And so I know there are mixed opinions on that, but I think it's a good opportunity to preserve the capacity that you guys just got back. And it allows us to hopefully build a fantastic project to greet everybody coming in.
In the end, Jack, I guess, you know, when the new sewer system was put in out there,
Mhm.
are you relieved of everything if something fails, or how does that, who does that fall back on?
Yeah, sure,
I
absolutely.
just want to make sure it doesn't fall back on the city.
Yep.
That's what I want to make sure.
Totally understand. I'll give you, we have a gentleman from Edge Wastewater here. I'll give my layman's version and he can jump in and correct me if I say something wrong. But so this system, it would go through city engineers from you guys as well as TDEC. So TDEC has to sign off on it from the state, and then it goes before a different board. What's the initial?
Tennessee Public Utilities Commission.
The Tennessee Public Utilities Commission. And so they're the ones who designate it its own little utility district for that neighborhood. And so that body, once we build the system, we deed it over to a treatment provider who's responsible for treating it. If for some reason something happened with that treatment provider, they went out of business, anything that could happen, that body, the government body that issued that utility district would assign it to a different company. And so you would have somebody step in, there'd be some sort of bonding in place to take care of that. So you would have a different provider step in to take care of it if something were to happen like that.
Because I know, which I mean, y'all may be familiar with it. I don't know a whole lot except for what I've read. But like in, I guess it's Wilson County where they having the problem. Is y'all system anything like this?
Let me turn that over to somebody who knows more than me, if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just, you know,
I'm glad you brought them.
Yeah, no.
I just wish there were people here that was,
Yeah.
I mean,
My name is Matt Nix. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with Edge Wastewater. I have a handout I'm going to give each one of you. It's a presentation that, there it is. Presentations. This is exactly what the presentation is. I'm going to walk you through how the system works. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
thank you.
So what is being proposed is a decentralized wastewater treatment plant. It is a system that's set up solely to provide wastewater treatment for this development and this development only. It's not designed to add a bunch of other properties to it. It's solely for this. So it's basically self-contained. As you can see, the first page is an overall site map, and it just sort of shows you where the lots are laid out, and it shows you where the common space is. It also shows you where the land application areas are going to be, and I'll get into that a little bit. Shows you where the treatment area is going to be. If you go over to the next page, got a bunch of green and yellow on it. So the way the systems work, the waste comes out of the house, goes into a concrete vault, and then the gray water goes over to, after it gets treated at the facility, it gets treated to a couple steps below secondary drinking water standards. It goes out to a land application area. The land application area is basically, for lack of better terminology, kind of like the irrigation system you probably have at your house, except it's turned upside down. It's under the ground about 9 inches, and it drips out water at a certain rate. Not all the time. It doses out, and we'll come back to, in a couple slides, we'll come back to the number of areas it has, and how it doses out. The areas are identified by somebody other than us. It's a soil scientist that's on the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation approved soil scientist listing. They go out there and they look at the soils and they determine what soils are appropriate for this kind of application for the drip dispersal. They and so they lay it all out, and they've got a bunch of points where you'll see the black dots. That's where they actually put in, they dug a test pit to make sure that what they were looking at really was what they were looking at. Make sure the soils are right. If you flip over the next slide, it actually shows what the type of soils are. Won't mean anything to anybody except the engineers in the room as to what the soil types are, but there are certain soils that are good for this, and there's certain soils that are not good for this. And so they do these things that are called, when they dig these test pits, they do these things that are called paydons. And basically it's a pit description. So they dig a hole, they look at the strata, they look at whether it's got clay in it, it's got rock in it, whether it's going to be suitable or not. There's some, flip over to the next slide. This is the paydon description. This is a well-drained soil. So you're going to have well-drained, moderately well-drained, and unsuitable. And those are the 3 slides that you got coming up. So it just shows you what these guys go through when they go through the pit. They're looking at the depth. So they're going to go down. This one, the first one went down 49 inches, and it talks about the grades, the soil texture, what type. So this well-drained soil is predominantly what you see on the site. That's the green area. Flipping over to the next one, it's the moderately well-drained soil. That would be the yellow area. That's going to have a lower loading rate. The well-drained soils will have a loading rate of 0.2 gallon per day per square foot. Moderately well-drained soils will have a 0.1 gallon per day per square foot. And so it's just how much water can the soils take is what it really boils down to. And then, of course, the last slide you have is unsuitable. That is, and you'll see where it says under additional notes, it says it's compacted at 22 inches, it's out, got a clay texture at 36 inches. That's not suitable for what we're trying to do. So you have an outside professional who comes in, looks at all the soils and goes, this will work, this won't work. Then it all gets surveyed, it gets gridded out, so we know exactly what we have and how much we have. That's how you get the green and yellow map that we had to start with.
Can I just ask you,
Yes, sir.
and I hate to keep asking questions,
No,
but I guess, you know, when you're talking about the grades and all of that, which, you know, like in the planning commission and then in one of the meetings, you know, I guess there's a farmer, you know, he talked about rock and all of that. Will any rock have to be removed?
no, sir. Not at all.
No rock will have to be removed whatsoever.
So for these soils to be utilized in this system, it has to be undisturbed soil. So you can't go in and cut out a bunch of rock and go, okay, this will work now. It's got to be undisturbed because they want it to have a natural flow through it. If you go back to, I want to geek out for just a second on y'all. If you go back to a conventional septic system, you know, you have the waste comes out, it goes into a septic tank. The septic tank has a baffle in it. Yes. On this side of the baffle stays solids. The gray water rolls over, and then it goes out in these long field lines. So that's untreated sewage that goes out into the field line. At that point, what you're doing is you're asking the soils to do all of the treatment. It's got to do all the filtration. It's got to do all the biologics. It's got to do everything. So you're taking raw sewage, put it out in the soil, and ask the soil to do everything. The decentralized world, you're taking the sewage, you're breaking it down into the solids and the gray water. The gray water is going through a treatment process. And there's a bunch of different treatment processes. What we've proposed here is what's referred to as a BioClear. It's a trickling media. So the wastewater comes in the top, it trickles through a bunch of different types of media. There's a clarifier at the bottom that catches whatever suspended solids are still in it. And so you get this treated wastewater coming out. The effluent that comes out the bottom of it has been treated a couple steps below secondary drinking water standard. And then you're putting it out into the soil. So all you're doing, asking at that point, is the soils to do the final polishing of it. You're not asking it to do all the treatment. The water that comes out of the system, you could drink it. It'll probably taste a little funky, but you could. It's not going to give you dysentery. So that's what gets drip irrigated into these land application areas. Nothing but a big mass balance equation for me. You have X number of houses. We're going to go at 300 gallons a day of flow per house. Okay. I'm gonna get personal with you for just a second. How many people live at your house?
See, there's 4 of us.
There are 4 of you. Two males, 2 females. Okay. Just
No. 1 male and 3 females.
Wow.
Yeah, it's me against the world.
I'm not really sure how to respond to that. All right, so 300 gallons here. Any idea how much water you use a day?
Well, I do and I don't, because I get my water from CPWS, but my mind, I can't, I'll see it and it pleases me the next day.
Next day.
But,
I'm going to guess
I
that you
think
probably
it's five or six, a month. Is that
5 or
so?
6,000 gallons a month. Probably closer to 5.
Okay.
You're probably going to use somewhere around 175 gallons a day of water. We're designing the system with 300 gallons. So we already have a 125 gallon safety factor in there. I live by myself. There's no way I use 300 gallons. I might use 75 gallons of water a day. Might. So as people move into the neighborhood and they have houses, you already have a safety factor built into it. The house that has 1 male and maybe 4 females, you're still not going to use 300 gallons a day on average. You're probably going to use somewhere around 225. Got all this historic data that says about 175 gallons a day is what actually gets utilized average. Now, there are days that we get slugs, Christmas Day, New Year's, Thanksgiving, we may get a slug of people that are using 400 gallons. But it evens out because there's an equalization basin on the front of these things, so all the water goes in there and they get equalized out over time. So you already have the safety factor built into it. Then we have the mass balance equation for the soils versus the what we've got. So it's basically a gallon in, a gallon out. It's just about figuring out how to make that work. System's been utilized for a while. Yes, sir.
Does, probably not a story I will tell, but anyway, it's a septic tank. Is it, I guess it's a lot bigger than a normal septic tank or whatever.
Well, it's a concrete vault.
Yeah.
I wouldn't refer to it as a tank. It's a concrete vault. The actual dimensions of the vault would make it 1,800 gallons, but you're only going to put about 1,500 gallons in it.
Now, is it possible that may have to move some rock to set it in there?
Yes, sir. You could have to, just like you would a regular septic
Well,
tank.
that's what I was gonna say,
Hmm.
the house next to us, which it's ours now. But, I guess when my in-laws built it, and it went down so far and he hit rock. And my father-in-law says, well, it's just me and the wife. I don't think we'll have no problem out of it. Well, they didn't. But when we started renting it out, we started having problems.
Right.
So I had to come in there and had to go on the other side, knock a hole to lower it down so it won't back up. And I just didn't know if something like that, if something like that happened, what would you do?
Well, we really don't have those types of problems with it. Like I said, you got
You
to.
never would then.
We shouldn't. I'm not going to say we won't. But we shouldn't.
Should.
Because it's gravity flowing out of the house into the tank, so it's going to have a pop off before it gets there.
Yeah,
So if
right.
anything were to back up, that should pop off. Same as the tank itself is going to have a popper on it. So if something were to happen with the tank, popper would pop off and it would flow out to the
But
yard.
again,
We'd
that
clean
was
it up.
over 30 years. And then when other people moved, we started renting it out, and then, of course, they had more people there, and then they would call and say, hey, I've got problems over here.
Well, so that's a
And
that's a
and
great
what
no, great
happened,
point,
and
because
I just,
what we do, so you have a conventional septic tank and you have a problem like that, you got to call in a tanker truck. They come in, they pump the tank out. We have this is absolutely the worst job in the world. Okay, what I'm about to tell you is the worst job in the world. We have these things that are called sludge judges, and they're long sticks. They got markings on them. Guy comes around, pops the top off the tank. He sticks the tank, pulls out, goes. It's got 2 feet of sludge in it. Well, at a certain point, we are going to pump that tank out. That is part of the responsibility of the utility. That is not on the homeowner. So, and we go through a sludge judge program. And every 4 years or so, they go and they pop them and see what happens, and we pump them out. That is part of a utility issue. So that's a great point. Yeah. So if you, the next slide talks about the residential connection. So you have the tank, or you have a house, goes out to the tank, which goes out to a service connection at the road, ties into a force main line. These systems are going to be, it's going to be basically a self-contained system. It's small pipe PVC. The concrete vaults have a pump in them. That pump causes it to be a force main, so it pressurizes the system and pushes the waste around. Unlike a conventional septic system, like a municipal system that has manholes and has lift stations and pump stations where you can get some I&I into it, some water that comes into it, stormwater. Everything out there has a lifespan to it, has a life cycle cost. Your car has a life cycle cost, your HVAC does, your telephone, everything has a life cycle. Same thing's true about wastewater treatment plants. They're going to go through X number of gallons of water before you have to do some sort of upgrade to it. So if you have a system that is taking in a lot of outside water, whether it be rainwater or storm water, that's just taking life off of your treatment plant. This is a much smaller system. It basically is contained, it's pressurized, so we don't get a whole lot of I&I. I'm not going to say we don't get any, I'm just going to say we don't have a lot. Because we will have, I will have some pipes that burst, absolutely. We'll have to go fix them. So I might get a little water that way. So it's a much better contained system. If you flip over to the next slide, it talks about the tank that's at the house. Shows it basically just gives you a cross-sectional view of the tank. See that there's a pump on one side and you've got the water on the other side. End up with you have floats in it, so we can tell if we have a high water alarm. Each house is going to have an alarm on it, so that we'll know if we have something that's getting out of whack. That alarm will go off. It's both visual and audio. So yes, sir.
does the homeowner get an alarm, or will it
It's on
just?
their house.
That's what
They'll
I'm
hear
saying.
it. They will hear it.
Oh, they will hear it.
Yes, sir. They will hear it. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
So you will have an operator out there constantly to run this utilities if they get an alarm, or it's gonna have to be called in, or how does that work?
Well, we have customer service, so if somebody has a problem with the system, they can call us. If the alarm's going off, we'll normally get a call from them. We'll send one of the operators, one of the technicians out to see what the problem is. Could be an electrical storm, just like it resets your clock.
What would be the closest, I guess, place to come? Would it be located in Spring? Would they be in Spring Hill, the customer service?
No, ma'am, they'd be local. Our office is based out of Murfreesboro, so
They
our
would have
customer
to come
service
from
people will be in Murfreesboro. And we also have a maintenance hotline. So if in the middle of the night something goes wrong, call our maintenance hotline.
So how many, I know if this got approved, they would have this area here. So how many houses would they be like, I guess, how many customers does this utility will have? Like, will they have Murfreesboro, Spring Hill?
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all all over.
Systems all over. Yes, ma'am.
So these homeowners wouldn't have to wait hours at a time.
Oh, heavens no. No. Customer service is I just spent about 2.5 hours with Verizon the other day because I had a problem with my phone. That's not acceptable to me. I was furious when I got off the phone with it. Most of our time, if you have more than a 5-minute wait, I want to know about it. And then I'll go talk to our customer service people and figure out what we have, what's gone wrong. Because there's something gone wrong. If you can't call in and within 5 minutes get to one of our people who are able to issue a service ticket, or get one of our operators out to look at what the problem is, we have an internal problem that I need to know about. Not saying it doesn't happen, because it does, but I want to know about it, and we will take care of it.
And the homeowners will have a fee to use this utility.
Yes, ma'am. It's a public utility, so the way that it works, you design the plant, it goes to approval from y'all's engineer that reviews all your plans. It goes to TDEC for their review, their approval. We get issued a state operating permit. I take all that, I go to the Tennessee Public Utilities Commission, say, Jack has asked me to do this project. I'm willing to accept it. Mount Pleasant currently does not service this area. They don't have lines that run out there. We're willing to do this. They'll then give me the territory that will be just the dimensions of the subdivision. It won't be outside of that. It'll just be that. And then we take that and we operate it. And so we have a public utility, and the residents inside the subdivision pay a monthly sewer bill to the utility, and that allows us to maintain everything. Yes, sir.
Is there a system or anything, I guess, if you get an alarm, does it shut it off, or does people just keep flushing and hoping for the best?
Well, there's enough capacity in the concrete vault that you can have a design flow. You can have 5 days worth of 300 gallons a day. It's a 1,500 gallon volume inside the tank. Tank actually will hold 18, but you want to keep it right about 15. So you got 5 days worth of. So yes, so they could keep flushing.
Okay.
But you won't
Yeah.
hear that alarm that long. I mean,
Oh man, the alarm will make you crazy. That alarm goes off, it'll make you crazy.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
This here's gonna be a little different, but you say it's only for this subdivision.
Mhm.
So, yes, city manager, where I'm going with this, the land on Zion Road. You know, we have 300 feet. So what will happen there if whoever, the Franklins, you know I'm talking about, Bill, that owns it? Armstrong, okay, Armstrong Plus, yeah. So what happens there? I mean,
So if they ever sell it or want to develop it, or
yes,
it's highway commercial, there's no sewer in the area, I guess you may want to answer this, but
That's
that's
what-
the only option.
I'll be happy to answer if you'd like me to.
that's what
I'm happy. So in a lot of cases, what will happen is you'll have this development, they'll get started, somebody next to them will be wanting to develop their property, they won't have sewer. So once again, we start this process all over again. We look for the soils. The whole key to this are the soils. I can design a system that would treat 1 billion gallons of water a day. Treating is not the problem. What do you do with the treated water? That's the issue. That's why the soils are the critical part. So somebody comes in, they want to do this, you start all over with the soil scientists, look and see if they've got good soils. And then at that point, if they're contiguous, do we just make the existing facility bigger to accommodate that? Or maybe there's a property in between them. So you'd start a whole nother system with this other property.
but they would not be able or would not be allowed to tap into your system?
Not without soils, no, sir. Mm-mm.
I think what Mike's asking is, if we were to approve this and you build the system for this development,
Yes, ma'am.
and then a development goes in next door, what you're saying is, as long as the soil passes the test and they're qualified to receive it, it would tap into the existing system and
We
the
could.
development.
No.
We could do that
Yeah.
with approval. It would take a lot of approval, because I would have to go back to the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation and get approval to add that. I'd also have to go back to the Tennessee Public Utilities Commission to add that additional property. So it's not like I can just go, oh yeah, I'll take your property.
Right.
Can't do that.
That's because you only done it for
This
this
subdivision.
subdivision.
I'll step in real quick. I think that the neighboring property would be its own project. It would be him again if it was his company or,
Right.
So
you know,
it'd be a
different development.
standalone, each one would be a standalone.
They're all little islands. They're all their
Yeah.
own
So,
utilities
like,
instead
really
of being
quick,
connected.
To answer your question, Mr. Davis, what you're saying is you're talking about our 247 lots. The
Yes.
soils you got over here is only able to support the 247.
247.
So that 300-foot strip of commercial land that could eventually develop, it's on its own.
It's on its own.
So,
Okay.
you know, and the same thing would happen if you had another piece of property next door to this, and another developer came in and wanted to do a subdivision, they can't tap into it because our soils are maxed out for the 247 lots that show on that concept plan.
Oh, okay.
So this is just for this. So if you have other, we do have other ones that are more like regional kind of thing on that side that are there, but you have to have the soil to support. So we have like 3 developments in Williamson County that all feed back to one soil site. So one developer had more than enough soils to support his subdivision. He had soils to sell. So he could turn around. So 3 other developments moved in around that. They had an agreement. They went in, they purchased the rights to that to bring their sewer to that one. This situation on this one, it's only for our property on that side. So I think that just kind of shortens the answer.
Yes,
on that
yes.
side.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
But I was just, I guess, curious also, you know, because I'm sure someday somebody will wanna
Sure.
do something there.
Well, it's twofold. The soils, as Rob said, are taken care of for this property and this property only. The other thing is I'm only designing this system to support the 247 lots. I'm not designing for 300 lots. I'm designing for 247. So if the guy next door comes through and says, hey, I want to add 100 lots to it, that's what I'm saying. We either have to upgrade the existing system to take on those lots if it gets approved, or we do another standalone system on that site just to feed that property.
That's just like, I guess Columbia owns 200 feet, 300 feet, 300. So that'd be like Columbia, if they put something there, they would either have to run their, well, Columbia would, they would have to run a sewer line up through there. Okay.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I guess my question is, if it was to get annexed in or whatever, down the road, Mount Pleasant still would be responsible somehow for this property with this step system. I know you said there's a chance that there's still 10% out there that something could happen. I guess I don't want that to be a problem for us down the road with the step system. I don't know. I think I heard you say y'all did a study. Just we got a brand new sewage plant. You know, hey, I just like to see if all this study been done on this. How come we can't do a study just to see for sure how much it would be to just run sewage to this property?
That's what he said earlier, 2.5.
Yeah, and I think it was a 1.7 million for this steps
For
for
the-
this
yeah.
testing going on. Because that's a lot of responsibility, I think, if we was to annex that into Mount Pleasant, which it would be great for Mount Pleasant, but there's still that 10% that if it's ours, we got to take ownership somewhere if something happened, regardless. If you got that utility, then you say Sam John up the road is going to be responsible. At the end of the day, it's still Mount Pleasant's baby because we annex into the city limits of Mount Pleasant. So,
Yes and no.
if we annex it, baby, it's come ours. Yes, sir.
Well, the property that the facility is going to sit on, the land application and the treatment facility, is actually going to get deeded to the utility. So it actually becomes the utility takes complete ownership of it. So Mount Pleasant doesn't have any ownership in that sewer plant for that property.
But the people that live there are going to be Mount Pleasant citizens.
Yes, ma'am, they will
And
be.
that they will hold us accountable,
Yes.
and we will be responsible to make that happen. And, you know, I think that's the biggest issue I think is out there is, it's been used a lot in different places, and I understand, you know, but it's not, and nothing's fail proof. I'm not,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
anything can happen, and Jack's right. We could have a sewer pipe that would break.
Right.
But what I've heard from citizens here is that we just spent a huge amount of money on a brand new system that it wouldn't even put us near the top of what we can do. It wouldn't tap us out at all. So I agree with what Willie said. I think and I understand there's been a lot of money and I get all that too. But I think in my opinion, our due diligence is to make sure that this is the best decision for the city. And if we haven't even looked at what that would look like to run, because I believe we go all the way up to the end of the landmark
Yes, ma'am.
already. So it's not that far I mean, that was a long way even to there. But anyways, I think that that's something that citizens are going to really, that's one of the biggest issues. The other issue that I've heard was kind of brought up by the farmer who had farmed that land for 25, 26 years, is that those are already kind of wetlands. So this is just, I know this is because I've heard it asked. So, we're having these major rainfalls these days. Chattanooga just got killed yesterday out of nowhere. And I understand we can't control the weather, but if we're already taxing that land to fairly close to what it can handle, if we have a situation like what happened in Chattanooga, are we setting ourselves up for a disaster? Because that's where I'm kind of like, they're already talking about how some of this construction they're doing there on the highways could have caused a lot of that. So I'm just trying to be able to answer residents that ask me, how do you know if we don't have 2 days of steady rain and that land is already fairly saturated with the runoff from the system, that's not going to just flood that whole area out?
Well, we're not going to have any runoff from the system.
Well, the
It's-
water
this-
that's
this
going
is-
into the
this is-
ground.
Yeah,
Right.
it goes
That's what I
into the
mean.
ground.
And it gets so wet.
If the soils were already saturated, they could not be utilized for the land application. So, soil scientists went out and said, these soils work. It's got the padons. So I'm not going to address the issue that the farmer guy has said about, well, these are already saturated. According to the soil scientists, they're not. So, might try to get that resolved, but we're not going to have any runoff from it. The runoff that comes off of the hillside that runs down, it's just going to sheet flow right across. Chattanooga, the 2010 flood in Nashville. I mean,
I understand that.
all bets are off when you have something like that. What happened up in East Tennessee that they never saw coming, Texas. They're things that really just outside of anybody's control.
I understand that. I just think we're seeing a lot of it now, so that's on top of mind on people.
Yes,
And for
ma'am.
us to potentially jeopardize the safety of the community is a big issue. I think the bigger one, though, is the potential of using our own plant, because there we have the availability, and I think that would be something that would make me way more comfortable, and I think a lot of people in the community, if we at least knew what that was going to look like, and understand that that's on you guys. Because I mean, I like I said in the other meetings, the quality of work that the mayors do is what we want here in Mount Pleasant. But we
Yes,
also have to make sure that we,
Sure, I agree.
so that would be my biggest thing.
But y'all wouldn't consider that at all? Jack, or
We won't consider anything. I'm not saying we won't. We met with staff earlier today on that. And so when we initially considered it, however long ago it was, 2 years ago, the route that seems obvious is just going along Trotwood up from Landmark to the front of our property, And so we had looked at that a long time ago, and it was both cost prohibitive and easement prohibitive, and there's a lot of different landowners between there together. And so they presented that they've got about a half mile of easements to start out with, and then potentially an avenue where you redirect through some different property and get to ours. Again, we've had about 3 hours to think about that one. So I don't have numbers on that. I'm certainly happy to explore it farther. Just one thing that I will bring up that I think is the more, and I know these are sensitive issues, the more money we spend, either the highest priced house we have to build or the more houses we have to build. And so it's an equation. And so you can't, it's like, you can't have everything. And so we're happy to explore it. But if there's a greater amount of money that needs to be expended, we have to price our houses higher or we have to build more of them, is generally how that works. And so I know that's, it was a concern that, that we listened to a lot from the citizens last time, and I'm sensitive to that. And so we're happy to explore it. We found out about that different route a couple hours ago, and so we'll look more into it. But just to bring up the other cost aspect. There.
I mean, Jack, I do realize it'd be quite a bit of money to the city of Mount Pleasant. I know, you know, of course, we could use it. But I guess I'm gonna go back to what happened to us out on Cross Bridges Road. And this here could end up being the same thing. On Perry's Place. We lost it because, you know, I mean, I had a little argument with it. But anyway, in the long run, you know, the county come in and says, yeah, we'll take it over and we'll build houses there. So we lost that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't wanna sit here and say, well, we want you to run a sewer line, which if you think about it, and we'd probably lose that because Columbia is probably gonna be within feet. Right. So Columbia be within feet, like the mayor's saying, and
Sure.
and so we know which route that would go to. And I just, you know, but I'm like everybody here, we want to make sure that this system doesn't fail. It's just like our lagoon, which I know that's totally different.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Our lagoon failed, and but I'm just saying the state says it's good. You can build it. And then after they got going, they had problems, and the state says, I'm sorry, you're shut off. But I mean, I realize it's ours or whatever, you know. But will that be the same thing, like what you're saying,
Yeah.
Pam? You know, it's the citizens, they're citizens of Mount Pleasant, and they're gonna be looking to
Sure.
the city.
No, you're right about that. Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is our first time being involved in development with one of these. And so with it being our first time, we wanted the best people working on it. And so SEC, Rob and SEC, there's about 160 of these in service in Tennessee. They've designed probably a little over 100 of them. And so we went and sought out the best possible people to inform us on it. We dealt with Wani Norad from a soil scientist perspective. He's extremely well regarded. I had to wait about 6 months for him to come out to the property. He's very busy. And so what we've tried to do, I can't promise you anything, but what we've tried to do to stack the deck in our favor and your favor is get the absolute best people working on it all along the way. And we stand behind our product. We want everything that feeds into that or goes out from it to be the best we can. So that's what we've done to stack the deck in our favor.
Where'd he get there yet? Which he might be able to answer this more so than you, Jack.
Sure.
You know, it's just like my septic, you know, my sewer line. You know, after so many years, it will probably have to be redone. Because you see them redone every now and then. So what happens in that case?
So we have, again, this goes through the Tennessee Public Utilities Commission. Part of their responsibility is to make sure that we have an escrow account. So every sewer bill, we take part of that money, we put it in an escrow account. That's set aside for capital improvement. We know that these things have 26-year life expectancy on them. And so we're setting money aside so that when 26 years is up, if we need to do a rehab on it, we have the money set aside to do that.
Okay.
And the other thing that I don't think you mentioned earlier, they will do inspections
Yes.
as well. So it's not like they're going to say it's okay, not come back for 10 or 15 years, and then it's going to become a big problem. They're going to be looking at it. I don't know how often.
So we talked about the state operating permit. The state operating permit puts at these limits. You know, we've got to have our effluent has to be at this level and this other level. we have to test for that. We have to submit these in monitoring reports that go to TDEC for their review. TDEC comes out, does inspections of the facilities. They look at the facilities, they look at records, they look at the land application area. So there's a whole lot of oversight in this. And then we have a financial responsibility back to the TDEC.
But when I brought up, about the one in Wilson County, the one they have in Wilson County doesn't compare to y'all's, right?
It is a decentralized thing that's a completely different type of thing.
Yeah, I had it on my phone but it goes right back there.
The ones that they're having trouble, the ones they're having trouble with are, one of them's a lagoon system.
Hear that one? You don't want that one.
I'm generally not a fan of lagoons, and here's why.
No.
Philip, Matt, borrow your cup for a second.
Yes, sir. Don't drink it.
How big is this?
16, maybe.
16 ounces? 16 ounces, how much can you put in it?
16 ounces.
What if you put 18 ounces in it?
It's gonna overflow.
There you go. That's what happens to lagoons. That's what happens to lagoons. The other thing that they have out there that they've had problems with are what are referred to as sand filters. Sand filters are absolutely one of the greatest things in the world. Oldest water treatment method started out as a water treatment method. Basically, a sand filter is nothing but take water, you run it over big rock to smaller rock to smaller rock to smaller rock to sand, and it purifies it. And it works like a charm. Absolutely works like a charm. When you do it on wastewater, what wasn't taken into account is if the effect of the wastewater would have on the liner inside the sand filter, and it decays the sand filter. You know how anybody's got a pool that they have to replace the liner in?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the exact same thing. Every now and then, the benefit is when you have to do that, all you got to do is empty your pool. They pull the liner. Imagine you got all the sand and you got all this media on top of it. You got to pull it out. That's a tedious process because there's not a redundancy in it. What we are proposing here is a multifaceted system. We're not just going to have one treatment. So everything runs through this one treatment. We're going to have multiple treatments that has redundancy to it. So if I have a problem with one of them, I can shut it down, run everything else through the other one while I work on that one. And so that in essence is the biggest problem they've got out in Wilson County. And they operate a little bit differently than this too.
Will you be here Tuesday night or
I will be, yes, sir.
you will?
Yes, sir.
Well, just let me know that system I'm talking about in Wilson County. If y'all's is anything, like that, which I don't think it is.
Oh, the system in Wilson County that's having the problem,
Yes,
Southern Law.
yes.
Uh,
They're in a big lawsuit right now,
Yeah,
and
that
even at
is not
school.
what we're proposing. That is not a BioClear system
Oh, okay,
at all.
okay,
Not at all.
okay.
I think I would, just to interject a little bit, maybe explain sand filters versus BioClears and why we're doing BioClear versus sand filter in regards to the lack of media that goes in that sand filter. And the industry is actually changing from what you're having problems with in Wilson County to what we're proposing is the new method for doing these systems on that side that gets away from sand filters. And you can explain why they're doing that.
So as I said, treating water is not a problem. There are 100 different treatment methods out there. Sand filters were one of them. Sand filter looks like a big sandbox. The influent comes in, it trickles through, goes through the media, comes out the bottom, the chambers at the bottom. Okay, that's one method of doing it. And they're designed based on length and width. And so, figure out how much volume you've got. It's going to be 55 feet wide. And it's going to be X number of feet long, depending on how much volume you've got to control. It's 55 feet wide because that's how far a rock thrower can spread rock. You can do a lagoon system. It's an aeration system. I think that may have been what y'all had before. Problem with the lagoon system is, what if the bottom falls out of it? What if you hit a sinkhole? So your lagoon just empty one day. Generally a problem. The BioClear method, or the BioClear treatment that we're talking about, y'all all know what a sugar cone is, right? Ice cream cone?
Yeah.
Got a flat bottom, comes up, flares out. BioClear Oh, well, yeah.
Yes, like very angry.
Yeah. It's, I don't have a good drawing in there of that. Yeah, I don't have a good drawing of a BioClear in here. So it basically, it looks like a big sugar cone and the media sits in it. So if we ever have to replace it, and we have multiple units, so all the flow, we can direct all the flow to one, we can split it out. Again, redundancy is key to this whole thing. Redundancy is key. But if I have to replace the media, I just take that one out of service, I pop the top off of it, suck all the media out of it, I drop new media into it, put it back together, we fire it back up. 2-day process. So it's just a matter of what treatment method is better. The sand filters were great. They worked well. It's just nobody anticipated what that problem was going to be. So the industry is moving away from that. They're going to more toward BioClears. They're going to a system called an MBBR, which is a moving bed biofilm reactor. Now really going deep on
Well, that's probably about like, I guess what we done, I guess we were sort of gonna be like a guinea pig on the biomed. And so we decided, no, we ain't going.
We're not going there. That's right.
You know.
We took a tried and true system.
Yeah.
Any system, you'll not be a guinea pig for me. Any system that we do, we've done before.
Well, my daughter, you know, where she lives, up in Quincy's going off of 840, you know, they have, I don't know if it's the same type of system that y'all have or not. It's what they call the Grove.
The Grove?
Yeah, except she don't live on the Grove, she lives on Falls Grove. But I mean, they have that kind of system and
They go to a sand filter. I know where it goes to.
it does,
Sand filter, yeah. Goes into the Udaly sand filter.
but they don't have no, they haven't had no, I guess, they haven't had no problem yet with theirs.
It's good.
But that's good, especially since I guess they got the same kind that they had got in Wilson then, I guess.
Yes. The one in Wilson County is a little bit older. Well, considerably older. Yes, sir. So, back to the presentation real quick. We talked about the tank. Then the slide, I think right before this slide is a residential control panel. So control panel that goes on the building, talks about the alarm and the simplex control panel, just shows you the control panel gets mounted to the outside of the house. That's what will be sounding and will be flashing red. Go over to the next slide, and these are the zones. So I was talking about the land application in the fact that we dose water out in small increments. So again, it's nothing but a mass balance equation for me. Not just one big zone that runs all the time. It's multiple little zones, and they're going to dose for 6 minutes, 8 minutes, and they're going to cut off. And it's just a matter of me figuring out what the math equation is. If I've got 10,000 gallons coming in, I got 10,000 gallons coming out over a 18-hour period, 20-hour period. So it's just figuring out how that works is all that is. And that just shows you how the zones are broken out. Zones are all pretty much about the same size. That way, and the reason to do that makes the math easy for me. It's really what it does.
But in real time, you could adjust.
Ma'am?
You could adjust it in real time, like if you
Yes,
got
ma'am.
for some, yeah, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It's all run off of a telemetry system.
Right.
So I can pull up on my phone and see what a system's doing, whether it's deadheading, what the pressures are, if something flowing, what the flows were that day, what the flows were yesterday. We average all the flows so we can keep count.
Reallocate it, okay.
Yeah.
I like you, Philip.
The next slide is actually just kind of it's a plan view of how the BioClears lay out. And so it shows you how the tankage lays out and where the flow's going, how it gets recirculated back. Because we end up flushing everything to make sure everything gets clean. And so it recirculates back and we wash it back out. The next slide actually shows the tankage itself. Just shows you the dimensions of the BioClear tanks and how it all kind of flows. You see you got 3 BioClears coming in. You got the different tanks it's going to. It's just how the filtering process works.
Should you have any problems in the wintertime
No, sir. The temperature of it's going to stay about 55 degrees year round, or during the winter. It's going to stay about 55 degrees during the winter. Next slide is actually the control building. So what the people will see as they drive by, they'll see all the houses, and then they'll see a couple big open green spaces that'll have a fence around them. And they'll see a small control building. That control building will either be 12 by 12 or it'll be 12 by 21, depending on what I have to put inside it. And it's just a small brick building. It's got a asphalt shingle roof to it. We use for term as little control buildings. And it'll have my brains in there. It'll have the computer program. It'll have the ARCL filters. So just basically has what I need into it. It's heated, keep it from getting affected by the winter. So the next slide is a drip emitter piping. So what I was telling you about the emitter heads. Again, there's not a whole lot to that, just how they sit under the ground. They're just little round discs attached to the drip piping. They just emit out in a cylindrical pattern. Next slide is basically, this came directly out of the state operating permit. It's the flow schematic for where the gray water goes to the EQ tank, to the BioClears, to the final dose, out to the drip emitter piping. So it just shows you what the flow is going to be, how it's going to work. And then the last slide, and y'all will be done with me, is all these areas are fenced. The minimum requirement through TDEC is a 4-strand high tensile strength fence. That's what you see here. So as people drive by, all they're going to see is the green area. In this picture, this is the drip field. There's your control building right there. The building right here. And that is the minimum requirement for the fence. If you guys decide it needs to be something different, do something different.
Will it be, I guess, mowable, be able to mow over the property, or
Yes.
will it be too wet?
We mow the properties. We mow around the BioClears once a month. We mow the drip fields, the big green areas. We bush hog those 3 times a year. We do not allow east livestock. We don't allow crops. About the only thing that we'll do is we'll let, if somebody wants to cut the hay, we'll let them cut the hay off of it. But these all we have solenoid valves, little electric solenoid valves out there. Don't want those getting run over and cut up by bush hogs, so we're very particular about who does what out there. Yeah, because the drip emitter piping is 8 to 9 inches underground out that field, basically plowed in with a vibratory plow. So that's why we don't allow livestock. Cow weighs,
Right,
yeah, got rain, sink right down,
things right down.
tear it all to pieces.
Okay. Appreciate it.
We've had Pam, Miss Whibley, and Mike. Laura, you got anything?
I'm just taking it all in.
That's what I
and
do.
learning.
I'll tell y'all where I am. I'm not gonna tell you, not gonna pull any punches. Y'all know Bill. Okay? I've talked with Corey at length about this for the last couple of days. We've looked at zoning maps and we look at what's surrounding this property. And if you look in just about any direction from this property, it's already R3. Got a mobile home park, got an apartment building, everything up and down it that's already there is non-conforming anyway. Okay? Just facts. Just reality. Okay? And I heard the young man that speak, is it with St. John's, that if you look out the steeple, how beautiful it is. And I said, well, then he didn't look left. Because that's where the trailer park is and that's where the apartment homes are. It is within our growth boundary. So it does, in my mind, meet the agreement with the land use plan. Understanding that there's already R3 up there, I don't see that it would really be an adverse effect upon the adjoining property. Because it's already there.
the R3 is a little misleading in a way when it says, it should, it don't say must, it says should, so there is leeway as far as I'm concerned.
There is some there. So I don't see any small group see it's good for a lot of people because of quite frankly, the tax revenue that would come in off of this property once a year to this community. It's a big number.
It's a big number.
It'd pave a lot of roads. It'd do a lot of things. The one thing, and, Jack, I appreciate you saying you would consider the sewer piece, and I appreciate y'all taking the time today to come down and speak with everybody about it. And I want to thank our team
Yeah.
for what they found and what they've done and the work they put into, because we were on a short timeline too, okay? And I mean that, guys, and everybody, Matthew, you included. But in speaking with Corey and just going through some of these things, Matthew, you said it earlier. We have spent in excess of $15 million to build a new sewage facility here. And I think we have found what I know that Philip and them discussed with y'all today, because they kind of went over with me what they were going to do, and I'm staying on the outside of that circle just like I should. I wish you would take some consideration of that, please, because, for the constituents of the city of Mount Pleasant, which is who elects us, to know that we just spent that kind of money and could put it to good use right now, it's just hard for me to look beyond. I'm just giving you, as I told you, I just shoot it straight. And it's just hard for me to look beyond knowing that we're not the highest sewer rate anymore, thank the Lord. No, I think we're third or fourth now. But, and I'm not proud of that, but that's what we had to do. We had no choice because that's state regulated. And I understand that this step system is state regulated, but I can't get beyond the fact that we spent that kind of money to upgrade this system to support a development like this.
Yes.
And I've got some same concerns that Pam issued, that if this thing goes down, good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to call Dale. We're going to get the phone call because it is lying within the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. And that's where I appreciate your consideration, looking at it and seeing if you can make it work for us, because this is not a voting night. This is work. That's why I encourage everybody to come on this night, because this is when we work. This is when we work. But please consider that. I mean, it would, knowing what we spent.
Yeah, we got a high dollar.
And I know that they've done a lot of work with easements already and that type stuff of how to get it there too. So just, I've said what I can say.
Would you know that by Tuesday night, Jack, or did it take longer than that?
I do not know. Probably not. We'll do our best to have all the information we possibly can.
That's all we could ask for, Jack.
That's what I'll promise. And the only other thing I'd say, and it probably doesn't help anything right now, but because we are in Spring Hill and because Spring Hill's in the situation you're in, or the situation they're in, having more capacity is never a bad thing. We're going to look at as hard as we possibly can at making it work. But a lot of cities around here are facing this problem where they're getting close. And we love Mount Pleasant. That's why we're coming here. And I think a lot of people are going to realize that. And I think Mount Pleasant's going to see a lot of growth. And if it's 1.5 million or 2 million gallons of capacity that you guys have, it's going to go quickly. And hopefully, if we don't use some of it now, we'll use some of it some other time, frankly. But that's the only thing I would add is we've seen it happen in a lot of different municipalities, and when things start going, they start going fast. And so it's just something to consider that if we aren't able to utilize it here, or it doesn't make sense, and we'll try to bring the best facts we can. The only good part about that is that's more projects in the future that other people could bring to the city, or we could bring to the city in a different location. So that's just my, yeah.
Which, Mayor, I'm like you on the land use. All of that is, it's just the way it is in this area. That's just, the way it is. Don't know, I mean, that's just like, we talked about it one time, and I guess it's like everything else, we sort of drop it and don't talk about it, but one time we talked about, having nothing no less than half acre or something like that. And I hope someday, we can do that. I do know where the builders are coming from too.
They gotta make the profit.
Right, but the main reason, and I'm just gonna tell you that I can't vote for it is I guess, when we say servicing the area, we're not gonna have, like I said, we're not gonna have sewer, so we lose all of that. But in return, we make it on rooftops, I guess, but, and then we lose on water because it's Columbia. And there's several things, that, I understand, we'll have police and fire, and that's be the main thing, but, and trash picked up. But, like me, I just assume it's to have a subcontractor to pick up the trash if we go down this road. And I'd a whole lot rather see the city spend another for a hybrid truck like what we got, the small fire truck, for up there, on that end of town. I'd a whole lot rather see that. And it's just, and that's just where I stand. And as far as your building, there's no doubt you do quality work.
All right. Jack, thank you.
Thank you.
Please,
Jack.
Thank
Very
you.
much
please
appreciate it. Thank
put that in consideration, please.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all very much, gentlemen.
Thank you for this, because it really
Yeah.
does help.
Yeah.
See how it all works. Yeah.
Yes.
For you all. So the process will make it so much simpler to understand what these are, how they function. We do these all over the Tennessee. But it's proven technology, there's no guarantee that there's something break somewhere. I mean, anything. Sometimes media misleads you on these things, but I really wanted to make sure people all understood how this works from and understood about this construction. That was part of clean when it goes underground versus the septic system where it's all sewage going on the ground. The system has proven to be a lot better than what an ownership and maintenance district.
Another thing, I guess when, you do a little research and then you look at, if anybody had problems and wouldn't have it, it would be California. Now, California has these systems, so as far as environmental and all that, it has to be up to standard. Or, California wouldn't have it, whatever that's worth.
Go there. All right. Corey.
Yes, I just wanted to interject. So we've kind of jumped around, which is great because it's a study session and we have all of the people on the developer side here. But, we started with the zoning. That's what we were talking, that's the agenda item we were talking about. So as you know, that'll be first. You will decide whether or not R3 is appropriate. You'll
Correct.
use your factors like the mayor discussed. Y'all should deliberate on that, even more so than you did tonight, okay? The zoning part does not involve the step system. It doesn't involve services, period. It just involves whether or not that property is appropriately zoned R3. And y'all have all touched on it. I know you've all done your homework. You've read those orange cards 1,000 times. You've got them memorized. But that's what you look at when you're deciding whether that's appropriate. Depending on how that one, whether it passes or fails on Tuesday, will determine whether or not the annexation resolution is considered. Okay, so the annexation resolution, which is next, is the one that would set a public hearing for for the annexation and the plan of services. So
That'll be in September.
that would be in September, whenever y'all decide. You'd have to pick what date and time and place. But the step system is relevant to the plan of services. So that's what y'all talk about. I know you all know that. I just needed to say it to wrap it in a bow, okay? So the plan of services says how the city of Mount Pleasant would serve that property. Because like you said, it is in Mount Pleasant. The step system, what they're proposing is something that would be serviced by a private utility. They've made that really clear. Y'all have asked lots of questions, and I think what you're doing is making a policy decision of whether or not that's what you want to do for this area or not, if you annex it in. Because if you annex it in, it's pursuant to that plan of services. If they make any change to that plan of services between now and, well, if they made it before now and Tuesday, we would have to revise the plan of services. It would have to go back to the planning commission for another hearing. Okay, so
Which we could have a call meeting.
it could happen, yeah. You know, all of these
I'm just
things-
trying to set a timeline that's realistic, Jack. If that came back, we could have a call meeting of the planning commission prior to.
So I guess what will be considered before you on Tuesday is set in stone. So we wouldn't want to set a hearing
If it's done
if
passed.
you were not, if you
If
were
it
going
does
to
not
ask for
pass
something
zoning.
different on the
Zoning.
well, yes, you can't ask for something different on the zoning, but also with the annexation, you will be publishing the plan of services that's in front of you. Okay, not changes to it. Okay, if that's something you're wanting to do, we would ask to postpone that annexation again to consider it. But what will be in front of you Tuesday is what you're voting on. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's correct. But I want to make this clear to everybody, you guys, that if it need be, and we could make this work somehow, we could have we could go ahead and get a planning commission meeting so that it didn't slow this down a considerable, like another 60 days, so to speak.
No, I appreciate it.
Possible.
Yes, yes, it's possible.
And on that note, tonight, I would like y'all to talk about when you would want to have a public hearing.
That's next.
This was zoning. We didn't talk about zoning.
Well, the zoning, it will be voted on. If it fails to be approved at R3, then you're not going to have a reason to have the hearing.
Right, and I've talked to the developer about that, but if it's an annexation by owner consent, so if they do not get the zoning that they would request for that property, I would ask for them to withdraw the annexation application.
And you've communicated that to them earlier
Yeah.
today, correct? Okay, good. That's the reason I appreciate everybody having that meeting earlier today.
So is it possible that this may not be on the agenda?
It'll be on the
Tuesday?
agenda. It's on the agenda as of right now.
As of right now.
But when you vote on the zoning, remember, our last attempt at annexation, right? We ran into the problem with the zoning.
Yes.
So we're gonna do the zoning first. Zoning contingent upon annexation. So if they do not get the zoning requested, if y'all vote against R3, there's no reason to consider the annexation. Because we don't want to annex it in.
Like we did last time, and then we didn't have a zone.
But that's like me, I'm a no because I don't think we're servicing the area. So how can I even vote for the zoning part?
I mean, it's contingent upon annexation. So if I understand if you don't want to annex, then you would vote no on that part. The zoning would never happen if it was not annexed in.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I talked to some of the other cities about how they do this, and they do it this way as well, just because zoning is an ordinance and that comes first. So it just naturally flows like that. The last
Mm.
time we did this, I put it below because common sense says that you would only zone a property that you had annexed. And then we did not zone it and we ran into a problem. And so to prevent that from happening,
So
I'd
the
like to zone it
services
first.
actually come second.
Yes.
The annexation and the zoning, or the annexation and the services are the same.
Same,
You
yeah.
cannot annex a property unless you annex it pursuant to a plan of services. And that plan of services right now has already been presented. It's already been reviewed by the planning commission. So all these, we're asking them to look at something different. If they look at something different, we will, have to think on the spot on Tuesday, and postpone that again so that we have time to amend the plan of services.
But the other thing, I mean, if that's, with the remainder of the board, you have to, guess you gotta think, be like, we was talking about South Cross Bridges, cause it's gonna be a whole lot cheaper for Columbia to hook up than it is.
Columbia can't.
Columbia cannot
Columbia
annex
can't-
this property.
They cannot.
They
annex.
cannot annex this property.
Well,
This
it's within our
property is
program.
when, this property is
So
within Mount
Columbia
Pleasant.
cannot.
and Grant
Okay.
County.
But Murray County could.
Well, it's already in Murray County. So right now, they could develop it today under Murray County's rules and regulations and zoning, and they would get Murray County services. You're deciding is, do you want to adopt this piece of property and give it all of Mount Pleasant services?
Yeah.
But it's not, they can't cross that line the same way that we couldn't have annexed the other piece. It's just in a weird spot because it's already receiving some Columbia services.
That's correct.
That
Well, we can't do anything with the front 300 feet.
That's correct.
In Columbia's.
It's in, that's right.
That can't come into Mount Pleasant, the backside. Can't go.
That's
Right.
correct. That's correct. Okay. Corey, you said everything you want to?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Resolution 2025-41, a resolution to set the public hearing date and time for possible annexation of the services. If it does go through that, I'm going to recommend that we do that an hour before the work session at the next meeting.
At the next, like, Tuesday meeting, the September Tuesday meeting or the September Thursday meeting?
Thursday.
Thursday. Because we all do a great job, I think, of doing all our work on Thursday night, which I've asked us to do.
Okay.
All right, any questions on that? Resolution 2025, I was gonna say, guys, if y'all,
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. Nice seeing you.
All right, a resolution approving the Gray Lane paving bid. Got 4 bids, Nickel Contracting was the lowest.
So Mayor Commissioner, that's more on a lighter note, and hopefully this is the first of many in the future. So you guys know this is going from Greenwood down to the 4-way stop. This is resurfacing and restriping that stretch of the street. The lowest bid was $66,307.21, and then David met with them on site, and they actually would come out, and I think that's why they're lower than the rest of them, and that's probably going to be in front of you for approval.
Good. Good. Any questions? Thought he'd come in quite a bit higher, frankly. Resolution 2025-43, a resolution approving UV disinfectant at the wastewater treatment plant. Matthew, I bet that's you again.
Matthew, I'm sorry. I probably should have got you to do all this at the beginning.
I was just sitting back here looking at
I'm
him,
sorry.
going, we should have done this all up front.
Not a problem. So earlier today, we opened bids for this project. Just a reminder, this is being funded by the county's CDBG grant. We were able to get that a couple of years ago. This design was done, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. So it's been sitting around for a little while, but we were able to get that grant to help fund the construction. So we got 3 bids. The low bid was with Cumberland Valley Constructors with $786,000. Now that is more than what we had originally budgeted. The original budget for just the construction portion and it was about 600,000. So we're about 186,000 above what we originally had budgeted. We talked a little bit earlier about could we just not do the project, or could we do something different? Unfortunately, the scope of this project is fairly simple. It's essentially buying new UV disinfection equipment and installing it. So there's not a lot of extra work or something we could do differently. Now, we're still going to look at that just to make sure there isn't something we could tweak just to get the cost down a little bit. But for the most part, this is about as simple a treatment plant project as you could have, just to kind of put it simply. We have not had a chance to put a bid tab or recommendation of award letter, but we will work on that, make sure that that gets to y'all before Tuesday night's meeting. And I don't know if you all want to add anything.
After talking through it today, and I know you still got to review that bid, I think it's important we do that. I think we have a plan on the funding. That's the next thing on there with the ARPA water line, some matches that we're not going to be able to do. So we may be able, sure, for not necessarily new money, but it's money was already for the other matches. Hopefully.
And
Yes,
something, I'm
that's-
sorry, go.
That's what I was gonna ask. What is the city, does the city have a part of the, how much will the city's part
It's a
be?
little bit more than 20%.
It
I'll have
is
to go
more than
back and look. So the
20%?
total grant in our budget is 700 something.
Oh,
I have to pull
okay.
it up, but so the bid came in at, what was the 786?
786.
So the grant is 560, and then we have to, hold on.
210.
Let me pull it up.
So-
Let me pull it up.
210, 210.
Yeah, right, all over it.
So we've got to come up a little bit, but I'll have more numbers. I'll bring more numbers. So we just did the bid opening at 2 o'clock today.
Did ask Matthew if we get a cheaper light bulb, but I don't know if he liked that.
I don't think you want a cheaper plate. Yes, sir.
On this, I guess on the UV, is it in the beginning or is it at the end?
At the tail end of the plan.
Okay, because I read, where some people, they done it in the beginning and it didn't work.
This will essentially not totally replace, but you're currently using chlorine to disinfect before it goes out of the plant, and this will essentially be in lieu of that system.
All right. Any other questions for Matthew? Matthew, he needs to speak on F too, doesn't he?
The barge master service agreement, yeah, can.
You want to go ahead and do that,
Sure.
Matthew, so you can get out the door?
Sure, no, you're fine. So this particular task order, Barge and the city entered in a master service agreement about a year or two ago. And essentially it allows for issuing task orders as little tasks, not necessarily a project like we just talked about a second ago with the UV system, but smaller tasks. Task orders can be issued by the city to us to do smaller things. So this particular task order is just for providing small services. During the course of the year, we get asked to review plans from developers, like we were just talking about a minute ago, issue letter of availability letters for wastewater, various other things kind of like that. So this is just to capture those little hour here, hour there tasks that we do during the course of the fiscal year.
And we just started, sorry.
No, you're good?
We just started doing these task orders. So it says 2, it's task 1 was last fiscal year. So every fiscal year, they're just giving it was the same amount. And I think you all do the lagoon inspection, and that's part of this as well. So it's 56,500. That's the exact amount we budgeted. What it helps us is we usually have an idea of what we need to budget every year for general assistance for sewer, at least. Water, we haven't made it to that point yet, but eventually I'm hoping we can get with our engineers to a point that at the beginning of the year when we're budgeting, we're not estimating based on what did we spend with engineering. The previous year, we kind of have a goal of some sort, like, hey, let's try to stay within this funding mechanism, because everything else that they do for us, those are separate contracts that come to you all for approval through grants or any other funding sources. So this is just for, like you said, general assistance for anything that the sewer department needs. But whenever they do any extra stuff, based on grants that come separately. And then the grant itself was 700 something with match and everything. But when you take the engineering out, South Central's cost out and everything, it leaves about $595,000 for the actual construction phase for the UV light. So when the bid came in at 768, we estimated we'd have to come up with about 186,000. But I'll have more, bring these numbers to you all again as well on Tuesday, but I just wanted you all, since that was asked, it's about 186 that we would have to 186,000 that we would have to come up with. But between Dale and Matthew, that is what the future of sewer plants looks like, and that's putting less chemicals back into your water streams, and the UV lights are better in that case. So maybe we would save money on chemicals eventually, but at the moment, of course, it's just making sure that our plant is best equipped to be one of the, most up-to-date plants that you could have.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Matthew, anything else you want to add?
The only other thing I forgot to mention earlier, the contractor that was the low bid, we've worked with them before.
Good.
We've had good experience, so.
Yeah, I was
don't have
worried
any-
about, that's a lot of difference.
Yeah, yeah, don't have any problem recommending them to do
Good,
this work.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
And I may reach out to you about what we,
sure. Happy to chat. Yeah. All right,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
Resolution 2025-44, a resolution approving the ARPA water line bid, and I think Philip just said what's going on with that, but
Yes, sir. I'll be brief with it. So this was the ARPA money that come through a couple years ago, and this project was replacing asbestos line from the bridge all the way to our connection at almost Redwood Circle. So they bid it out in 4 stages, and the first stage was $406,000. So we can approve that or not approve it, but that is from the bridge around Magnolia to Looper system. We may put that in front of you to award, but we do not have a clear easement yet. So a little disappointed in that. So we'll know more hopefully by Tuesday. The second part was from pretty much the daycare or the old Rebel there all the way to the tile plant, and that's $4 million. Mind you, we only had 2.5 for the whole budget. So that's not even an option at this point. Option 3 was from the tile plant all the way to connection, and it's 1.174675. We are going to recommend it. We do have easements. I guess lack of a better term, the plans, and I don't feel like they're that great, so there's going to be change orders, without a doubt, on that part. And then the last part was a $47,000 service line, and I have no idea why that's in there, so we're not going to recommend it at all. We feel like, so the total match was $810,000 because it was over the match budget. Now we're bringing it back down to 1.5 maybe at 13% match, maybe 200,000 of that. So we have put aside these matches and overcosts up to 800,000. So I think for the UV, you should have a look at it, but I think we're okay to approve that.
that's right.
Yeah. So yes, sir.
Are we, I guess, still okay? I mean, that's a lot of, several projects and a lot of money. But, I mean, far as the city goes, we're okay. Even, I guess, change orders on downtown, if we still have change orders or whatever. The city is,
Well, you got to look at this project.
And this is the water fund, so it won't
Yeah.
help downtown anyway, so.
It's 2 different grants.
but I'm just talking about the city as a whole.
Oh, no, we're fine.
We're okay, yeah. And the water fund, when you all did the rate increase, a lot of these projects were kind of part of that rate increase. So
right.
when I was hired in 2023, I started putting a certain amount every month into a construction account, so we're good.
So the total bill was $5.6 million. And
Howard.
that engineer tried to get y'all to approve it, and they go chase out the grant. They didn't entertain putting that in front of you. So we're trying to salvage what we can, and that ARPA money with the percentages to get some of these projects done. So more than likely, if we can't get a conclusion on that easement on Magnolia, we'll be asking you to approve the 1.1
1.174.
with a 13% match. And we'll still have a set of plans that we paid for. We'll have them, but there's no way we ask you to approve $5 million and not have it halfway.
Right.
all right, resolution 2025 46, extending Major Oaks timeframe to enter into a pilot agreement. I can speak to that one. This is also going before the Murray County IDB next Thursday.
Already approved.
It's already approved, yeah. Did we approve that last month? Okay. So what it is, they just failed to sign the document within the time period it was allotted.
Oh,
And they are the only facility that we have in Mount Pleasant, Tennessee that is using TVA's green tax credits.
Sorry, I was talking about cheeseburgers.
I know you were.
I've been sitting up here for an hour and 35 minutes and y'all are sitting over here talking about cheeseburger.
I apologize.
Resolution 2025-47, a resolution for Project Mustang to enter into a pilot agreement, and that is asked to be deferred.
oh,
Yep.
No real problems, just to make that very clear. Resolution 2025-48, resolution of the city delegating authority to the IDB for issuing a letter of credit. We discussed that earlier. Corey, anything you need to add to that? Because it is kind of a little,
It's just, the Muni Gas program gives you a discount on gas. You get to buy gas for less than a regular person. And then we still sell the gas to everyone else at the regular price. So the difference is what we keep, and we can use that for infrastructure. We have several big industrial gas users that are not part of this Muni Gas program. The only way that Muni Gas will let us add them to that program is if we have a letter of credit. The city of Mount Pleasant can't issue this letter of credit for some reason, so we're gonna ask the Murray County, or the Mount Pleasant
Mount
Industrial
Pleasant IDB.
Development Board to issue it for us.
Temporary, and then close back down.
Yeah.
I'll add to that briefly. This has been on the table for a couple of years, but Corey has figured out a way to get this done. So, we've been using that on the credit for a couple of years now. So,
fingers crossed. And that's 110 grand, folks.
Yeah, we need that.
All right, approved 2014 property tax write-offs. Will y'all have a list for us Tuesday
I
night?
will, I'll put that in your packet. And it's 2014, we write off every 10 year, every year I have to write off at 10 years.
I don't need any names or nothing, I
No,
just say yes.
I can't give you names.
No. Hey, what I would ask everybody to do is if you printed off this stuff that, I think Sheriff sent us that Corey actually put together for us, you might just hold on to that because we'll need it again Tuesday night. Keep us from burning up paper.
Do they have anything in here between now and then?
Do what?
Do y'all use this room for anything between now
We'll
and
just
then?
leave it in.
I'm just gonna leave it mine right there,
Okay.
along with the plans from
Yeah.
the.
we'll make sure.
All right, we had nobody sign up to speak. Look, guys,
Definitely listen.
yes,
I want a cheeseburger just like.
Sorry, Mayor.
I make a motion with just me.
Hang on, can I
no,
ask something before Tuesday night? I mean, nobody was here, so, I mean, can there be a time limit set? You know, as far as
I asked that question too.
it's, you know, do you have 3 minutes, or can we say after 30 minutes it's cut off?
Yeah, I think that's what the logic behind setting the public hearing 1 hour before
1
the
hour.
start time would be that the public hearing would end. I think, some things y'all could do is say at the beginning, like, show of hands who's opposed, show of hands who's for, and then kind of ask them to consolidate their time with other people, like, don't just keep repeating. They might not, but you can limit everybody
That's what they-
to 3
But I mean,
minutes.
can't you have a time limit on?
Yes,
Or-
on the
That's
whole
what
thing,
they-
yeah.
This month with the county commission meeting, because they had their whole new planning thing up. That's what they did mine. And what they did wound up doing was, is they said, is anybody here to say the same thing? Everybody held up their hand. They said, can what just one person please say it?
But yeah, I think your time limit would be an hour.
It was a nice
I
way.
think your time limit would be that hour,
It was fair to everybody.
Yes,
or if you want to shorten it more, but
Whoa, wait a minute. I'm about to get,
half hour.
so Tuesday night will be,
no,
Another
there's
public hearing.
no public hearing is on Tuesday.
okay.
That's just-
No,
Okay.
Like, looking like,
no, I'm
They
saying,
can make comments at the end of the meeting.
yeah, they can
but we're not
speak
having
like
a
regular,
public
but
forum.
no.
Alright, you guys, I need to support the process, that we didn't officially adjourn, so I was like.
I'll make a motion to
motion to
adjourn.
It's a work session.
I thought we've been down